Hi, welcome back to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. You know, nothing says ideal communist utopia where everyone is equal like modern China. It became clear after the death of Chairman Mao that killing all the rich people and taking their stuff was not a great long-term strategy for economic growth, because you eventually run out of rich people. So the next leader, Deng Xiaoping, came up with a new theory: let some people get rich first. That's not a joke, that's actually what he said. And since then, China has seen decades of stunning economic growth. This is Shanghai in 1987, and this is Shanghai in 2013. So who are the people who got rich first? Why, it was the proletariat, the backbone of the revolution just kidding. It was the communist officials. They didn't have to pretend to live frugally anymore. They were free to take big profits from state-owned companies or to kick peasant farmers off their land and sell the rights for development while getting kickbacks. You know, the traditional ways to make money. But soon, there were others getting rich too. Millions of everyday people started small businesses, and a few of them pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, whatever bootstraps are. I'm talking about people like Alibaba founder Jack Ma. His first job out of college in 1988 was teaching English for $12 a month. Then he started several small businesses, which all failed. Eventually he started the e-commerce company Alibaba, which did not fail. And now he's worth $40 billion. And Jack Ma is not alone. According to the latest annual Who Run report, there are 777 billionaires in the People's Republic of China. And it just so happens that 104 of them are Communist Party officials. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. The US, by contrast, has only 571 billionaires, and most of them aren't in government positions. Okay, there are exceptions. But Trump's counterpart in China is also super wealthy. Xi Jinping may not live an extravagant lifestyle himself, but together with his relatives, he's worth at least $250 million. Anyway, China has more billionaires than any country, by far. Alibaba founder Jack Ma lives humbly, other than doing stuff like producing and starring in his own short film where he's somehow a kung fu master. I guess that's just what crazy rich people do. I mean, star in your own martial arts movie? Who wouldn't want to do that? But while Jack Ma may be crazy rich, at least he isn't crazy and rich like Chinese entrepreneur Chen Guangbiao, the guy who once hosted a fancy lunch for homeless people in New York City to highlight how bad America's homeless problem is and how he could fix it, starting with his promise to give out $300 in cash to every homeless person in attendance. And then, in a bizarre twist, he took all the money back. He also faked the ice bucket challenge by pretending to sit in ice water for half an hour. Chinese people would call Chen Guangbiao a total tu-hao, or nouveau riche. But there's not a lot of old money in mainland China because of the whole killing rich people and taking their stuff policy under Mao. Which is why rich Chinese are taking etiquette classes.
其实这个人很多人说，哎呀，为什么别人就是有时候就是有一些人会说，哎呀，人家为什么付10万块钱为了学怎么切一个香蕉，就不需要放在心里，你知道吗？我们教的不只是教你这个，我们还教很多就是生活方面的，还是一些礼仪精神的。
As well as yacht buying classes.
那个里边的马桶还比较偏硬，是电动。等下一次我出海的时候呢，我把它抬到了外面。
They're already rich, but now they're learning how to act wealthy. But if you think that's crazy behavior for the crazy rich people of China, wait until you hear about their kids. There's even a term in Chinese for rich people's kids, fu dai, or rich second generation. And some of these fu dai are seriously extra. Like this Instagrammer, Cyan VVX, showing off her apartment with a slightly above average view of Hong Kong. Her humble automobile, probably a Toyota Camry. A normal everyday breakfast. An afternoon out on the old fishing boat. And of course, a totally unstaged photo where she and her bays depict what I assume always happens at girls' slumber parties. What's that, Shelley? It does? Wow! Now, perhaps it seems a bit tone-deaf to show off your luxury lifestyle in a country where most people are still living on less than $10 a day. But on the plus side, Your average Chinese peasant farmer isn't looking at Instagram. Because first, you need to own a smartphone. Also, Instagram is blocked in China and you need special software to access it. But there's nothing wrong with being rich, even if you use that money to buy your dog 8 iPhones. That is kind of ridiculous. I mean, why would a dog need more than 4 iPhones? One for each cute little paw, obviously, but what are the other ones for? But if the crazy rich foo or die of Instagram want to buy an excessive number of backup iPhones for their dogs, fine. Or if they want to show off their helicopters, I have no problem with that. If her parents earned that money fair and square and she benefits from it, I'm happy for her. Even if the internet points out that when riding a camel, you should really wear long pants. I mean, chafing? Hello? But it's not the horse-cuddling, baby elephant-feeding foo or die that mainstream Chinese people are all worked up about. Besides, there are rich Instagrammers in every country who are #living the dream. But it's the crazy rich Chinese foo or die who think they're above the law who drive people crazy. Like the college student who snapped a photo of herself literally burning money. Although I suppose it could have been an anti-Mao political statement, but it wasn't. Or there's the crazy rich daughter of a Chinese official who refused to put her $20,000 handbag through the X-ray machine at a Shanghai subway station. And the security guards were like, well then we won't let you through. And then she was all like, well then my daddy's going to kill you. That's not a joke, that's what she said. I feel like there should be some kind of solution in between not getting on a train and killing people. Speaking of killing people, this foo or die. He was drunk driving outside a university in northeast China when he ran his car into 2 girls, killing one of them. He started driving away, and when students and security guards tried to stop him, he yelled, "Go ahead, sue me if you dare. My father is Li Gang." Li Gang was the deputy director of the local public security bureau, who are like police but with more authority. So, maybe not super rich, but certainly super powerful. That is, until the phrase, "my father is Li Gang," became an online meme and a metaphor for abuse of power that's fairly standard across China. And then when the Communist Party realized they couldn't cover it up, they told the court to put Li Gang's son in prison. He was sentenced to 6 years. And these cases are just a few that illustrate a much larger problem in China. A lot of Communist Party officials, as well as their kids, feel like they are above the law. And a lot of regular rich people in China feel they're above the law too, because many people who become billionaires have strong connections to Communist Party officials, since having strong ties with the Communist Party makes it so much easier to accumulate wealth in the first place. In fact, in the People's Republic of China, the Communist Party itself is outside the law. The Constitution is even written that way. So don't be too surprised when some of the crazy rich people in China act out. On the plus side, if you go see crazy rich Asians this weekend, you'll think Nick's family are just the nicest folks. And before we go, it's time to answer another fan question from one of our supporters on the crowdfunding website Patreon. Cha-Cha China Fan asks, being watched all the time with surveillance cameras must be nerve-wracking for your average Chinese. Or do they know? Good question. There are 200 million surveillance cameras across China, and they have plans to build several hundred million more, making China a world leader in spying on its own citizens. Based on what I've read and the people I've talked to, everyone there is aware of the surveillance in a general sense, but the average Chinese citizen doesn't consider it a big deal the way we Americans do. Now, while that might seem crazy, remember that even before the era of mass camera surveillance in China, there were other types of surveillance. Since the Communist Revolution, there have been vast networks of spies and informants in every neighborhood, every school, and every work unit ready to report even the slightest deviation from the party line. That's how the Communist Party operates. So the current era of mass camera surveillance is just a digital extension of that. And in some ways it may seem even less intrusive. People who've grown up their entire lives under communism don't have the same expectations of privacy the same way people in free countries do. And that allows the Communist Party to keep extending its surveillance without a lot of public pushback. Also, anyone who pushes back will be caught on surveillance, so I guess that also explains it. Thanks for your question. And thank all of you for watching me because I'm watching you. Okay, not really, but I will be watching your feedback, so leave your comments below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching China Uncensored. Sadly, my daddy's not a billionaire, so to keep China Uncensored going, we rely almost entirely on support directly from viewers like you. Click this orange button to visit our webpage on patreon.com to learn more. For the price of just one small helicopter, you can fund our show for an entire year. Thank you for your support.